So have you seen such an event happen in the past under Russia, under President Putin, and perhaps a more hardline stance coming from the president after such a dissent from people in his own country?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen anything like this since Putin came to power over 2 decades ago. This is clearly the most serious threat to his rule and to political stability under Putin's leadership. But I'm struck by what didn't happen more than by what did happen. Right there was a coup of sorts, but there was no violence. The Wagner troops weren't shooting at the Russian military. They drove up the highway to Moscow, and nobody was hitting them with airstrikes. Now Prigozhin is going to Belarus, and Wagner troops are going home. Weird that nobody's been arrested. The second thing that strikes me is that major elements of the state didn't join Wagner. The military, the security services, the intelligence services, the mayors, they all stuck with Putin. That says to me, he's actually in pretty good shape. And finally, no big impact on the war in Ukraine. Troops were not withdrawn to pull them back into Russia. They were bombing Ukraine overnight. So, yes, this is a big deal, but I'm not sure how much has changed as a result.
What about Putin's stance on the international stage, given, of course, the image that this has projected to the world?
No question that it's a blow, that one of his own team members, Prigozhin, turned against him and publicly questioned the rationale for the war. That hurts Putin. But, I do think he's going to react by cracking down. That's what President Erdogan of Turkey did after the coup in 2016. That's generally how strong men react to being threatened. So I think he'll tighten the grips at home, repress dissent even more than he has been doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see an escalation of Russian operations in Ukraine as a way of saying, I'm in control. I'm doubling down. This war is the right war, and we're going to win it.
Well, because that was part of the sort of support for Wagner and the dissatisfaction from the broader people, right? This indication that Russians wanted, or at least certain Russians wanted, a more hardline approach in Ukraine. How does it change the calculus for allies like Beijing, though? Do you think Xi Jinping would be reassessing this friendship without limits if, the partner that he's looking at has a less firm grip on power than previously supposed?
Well, I think you make an important point there, that the real criticism from Putin is that he's not doing enough, not that he's being too soft. Prigozhin was going after the defense minister Shoigu, the chief of staff Gerasimov, because they were blowing the war and weren't handling it well, not because they were leaning in. I think this is going to rattle Xi Jinping and China, because China has bet on Putin. China has stood by this war, even though I think Beijing is not particularly comfortable with it. Now they see some instability in Russia. But that's the last thing that they want to see. They saw the Soviet Union fall apart, and they said, we don't want that to come our way. Now they see a rebellion in Russia. They're thinking, we don't want that to come our way. I guess for now, they're going to be steady as she goes and continue to stand by Putin. But no question, this is causing nervousness and anxiety in Beijing.